What's the most devastating thing your spouse partner so has ever said to you? Once COVID quarantine started and I started working from home, I was made to feel guilty if I didn't clean the house for my wife, who didn't work, and our 3 children. I ended up working full-time while cleaning, cooking, and managing homeschool. After 3 years of doing this, she told me she sees me doing all of it but that she needs more from me and hugged me like it was an apology. Then she cheated on me with 3 different guys over the course of a month. Then assaulted me in front of our kids when I told her she had to leave and she wouldn't see her kids during the week. My partner of 14 years woke up one morning and, apropos of nothing, told me he wasn't in love with me anymore over breakfast. Then, he left for work. This was after he had convinced me to quit my job and go back to college, leaving me 100% financially dependent upon him. Which he convinced me to do because he said that my lack of higher education had caused him to lose respect for me. It was also shortly after I discovered I had a uterus full of tumors and was waiting for my insurance to approve the exploratory surgery to remove them and find out if I had cancer. My husband told me years after his mom died that she died in hospice because of me. I declined to have her at my home to personally care for her. I couldn't take care of her and my 3 kids too with special needs at the same time. He didn't say it as fact but as an accusation. He said it was drunk when he said it, but there's always so much truth in drunk rants. It hurt me worse than any words ever have. She hated my guts and even if I had personally seen her through death she would have made me pay for it every day. I want a trophy. And yes, if I won a life, you would be the trophy. But I want a woman that every man wants to fuck when we walk in the room, and you are grotesque, your body is unnatural. Yeah, my body is not perfect. I lost 150 pounds a few years ago, and I have some loose skin, but it's not even that bad. And I've been called worse things, by better people. But that broke me. It's been almost a year, and I'm starting to accept that I'll just never be the person I was before the love of my life said that to me on his way out the door. Had spent a good 3 years recovering from a prolonged illness and was all set to go and study at university. A few days before I went to move into my new flat and start classes, my then boyfriend told me he didn't think I was going to make it through the year and basically implied I should give up then and there. Joke's on him. I aced my degree and am now attending law school for a 2nd degree. But I remember how awful that made me feel. I just felt so useless and stupid. He was good at doing that. I don't wonder how he's doing now. It wasn't what he said but in action. As a young woman I was still figuring out who I was. I have always had issues with conversations. I was horrible at small talk. Other than my kids I just didn't have a lot going on, so I didn't talk a lot or have much interaction with other adults. I was talking very excitedly about a DIY project and I look over and he is making his fingers on one hand into a gun and he is blowing his brains out and the other hand shows the brains coming out. I stopped talking to him, like forever. My partner of 15 years and I were arguing about his family. His family is very well-meaning, but I felt like he would go to them with problems and cut me out entirely. I tried to talk to him about it. He said, "Don't make me choose between you and my family because I will pick my family every time." Ouch one. When I told him that I didn't want him to choose, I just wanted him to respect me as well, he laughed and said, "I don't respect you." Bigger ouch. I left a week later. Some things you don't come back from. Oh yes, purposely hid below the belt a few times to make me cry, feel shitty during bad arguments. Ugly, fat, whore with X number my that I honestly disclosed to him a body count, threw it in my face when certain people in my life weren't calling me, etc. He picks the things that he knows bugs me, even if he doesn't mean it, maybe because I don't get bothered at much else. He knows better than to cross certain lines or I'll hold it against him forever. We were in therapy after cheating. I was explaining why going to Ireland was so important to me. I was sobbing dead mother, lifelong goal of seeing her grandparents' hometown, yada yada. My husband at time had been refusing to go with me. Therapist asked us, "Do you understand why it's so important to her?" He said yes, she's never explained it like this before. Therapist asked, "Are you willing to go with her now?" No. I knew then it was truly over. Several times, he told me I wasn't ever going to change. The first time, I gave him a list of the ways I had changed and the things I was actively working on. I became more communicative and understanding, and was able to regulate my emotions better. I was proud of the progress I started to see. Even if it was slow, it was definitely there. But I think he had already cemented the idea of me that he had in his head. We're no longer together. He let my dog, that I raised from her puppy and who became my emotional support through his frequent screaming fits of rage, out at night without a leash where she was killed by a car. Not 2 weeks later he walked my other dog, who I'd had since I was a teenager, again without a leash. So I gently begged him to leash her. He made the most disgusting noise I've ever heard. Killed every bit of love I had left for him in that moment. On our 20th anniversary, throwing a gold Piaget watch at me saying I'm thinking of bailing. It bounced off my head, hit the floor. I sold that beautiful effing watch, thought of him saying that every time I put it on. It kept really good time too. Or wait, was it when he told me he didn't find me attractive because I was pregnant he was having an affair? Both stand out. I don't want to give him any more headspace. Through tears, do you really hate me so much? I was in an awful self-destructive spiral and had already had one failed suicide attempt. Or rather, one that he knew about. I was so determined to hurt myself in any and every way that I didn't notice how badly I was hurting him. It took all the air from my body. I was horrified. It was a turning point, and although I'm still quite unwell, I am much safer and less of a dick. My ex told me I smelled down there and I never fully recovered from that comment. Even now with my boyfriend I get extremely paranoid about when he goes down. To the point where if I really felt the need I would shower before doing the deed. My BF is an absolute angel, though he's helped a lot to bring my confidence up. Telling me how much he loves to eat me out, how good I taste, even if I don't believe him sometimes. I was 2 weeks away from giving birth to our son. He looked at me and said, "You know I never wanted any of this, right?" As he motioned at me in my belly. I burst into tears and sat on the couch. He then proceeded to come over and rub my back to try to comfort me. It was so fucked up. I wanted to leave but couldn't find my car keys. He's my ex now. That was a moment that broke me, and I fell out of love with him. Not my story, but my friend started a new job and worked there all year whilst hating his boss. A Christmas party, everyone invited their partners. His boss recognized his girlfriend and said they were old friends, so he left them chatting for a short period. When the night ended and they went home, he asked how they knew each other to find out they'd had a one-night stand many years before. "Who's the father?" When I was bursting with joy telling him our planned pregnancy had happened. Then just 2 weeks before she was due, she died. It happens sometimes, is devastating but just bad luck. It's really tough for me to deal with and get on with my life, and I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. But I sincerely hope he is still eaten alive with guilt over his bad behavior. She ran up $60,000 in CC debt, was laundering my income deposits into bank accounts I knew nothing about for her own use. The gaslighting made me think I could not remember what she said or what I said. She accused me of having an affair with my therapist. I had been messing for over a year. Yeah, I got divorced and have a great relationship with my kids. She does not. I hope your dad is in heaven. He was insinuating my dad wasn't there in heaven. It was only minutes after my father passed away in front of us. My dad was a Christian but never really went to church. My ex used to butt heads with him over religion, but I would have never expected that messed up of a comment. It hurt deeply than any of the insults he hurled my way. IDK, what's harder to read through, some of the comments or not be able to even type my answer out. Wishing you all the best. Hope love has been better to you, hope life has as well. Y'all deserve better, and even though y'all are strangers, sending out some love to y'all. It's crazy when we hurt in silence sometimes. It can be the hardest. Much love, everyone. This thread made me sad. The worst thing my husband said to me was literally nothing in comparison. After a night of insomnia I woke up late only to find out he took the good leftovers for lunch. And I had called dibs. That night he wasn't even sorry and said, "You snooze, you lose," and I burst into tears. He felt terrible. I'll be gonna give him a hug. That sex with me was never romantic and he was underwhelmed and felt underrewarded because I didn't have a flat stomach, big boobs and a big ass like a porn star. Followed by how sex with me made him feel dirty and he was disappointed that it wasn't all he thought it would be. We were each other's firsts and reasonably young. He's been an ex for years now. "You're fat and sloppy, why would I have sex with you?" Me 8 months pregnant with a baby I didn't want. BC, he was a shit father to the first and I was planning my escape before the world shut down but forced to have because he didn't believe in abortion while taking care of a toddler during the pandemic. Yes, he's a deadbeat currently. Oh, the joys. Admitted he never really wanted to be with me. He moved me in awe of guilt. He doesn't love me, that it would be easier with someone else and that him and his ex all always find our way back to each other and that ultimately he doesn't feel bad for leading me on for 2 years, moving in with me. Having a family etc. still keeps me up at night. More affectionate than the truly brutal I am seeing elsewhere in this thread. My partner and I have a bit of an age gap. We, of course, make jokes about it. We were at the Franklin Institute, and they've got a meteorite exhibit. A sign proclaimed the oldest thing you'll ever touch. She poked my arm. Wow, okay, I see how this is. I have rheumatoid arthritis, and when I'm in serious pain I obviously limp and take my time on the stairs. One day while arguing he mocked me by limping down the stairs. To this day it's one of the most cruel things anyone's ever done to me. It was so much more painful than any violence I ever took at his hands, he said. It's okay if she's a cunt to you. She's my friend. I cringe when you enter the room. Your boobs are uneven, they are fairly even, and I have only gotten compliments prior to him. At 9 AM on a close loved one's death day, get out of bed, stop wallowing in your sorrow. And so much more, telling me on more than one occasion that I killed our first dog. What I actually did was take a seriously ill, old dog and to be euthanized. My SO was supposed to go with me but chickened out at the last second to sit in the car and sob. About a month or so later he announces I killed the dog. You have my heart but she has my soul. They had never met in person. We had been together for 11 years, married for 8. They went on to say they were connected by their souls and could tell when the other needed them. It was utter bullshit. Their relationship didn't last after our divorce. That they never loved me, never wanted to be with me, that they hate me, that I'm ugly, that they like this other guy's body better than mine, and expecting to stay at my house while she's seeing him. I mean, the level of disrespect there is bizarre and wild. But I didn't let it get me down.